Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight in Our News.
Relatives of those affected by Hurricane Dorian continue their search for their loved ones.
Well into the afternoon here in Eastern Grand Bahama, the floodwaters still preventing residents from getting to their family members.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands has confirmed that the death toll from Hurricane Dorian has risen to 20. 3 of those persons died in Grand Bahama. Government officials expect that number to rise as rescue and recovery efforts continue. Here in New Providence, a heartbroken father who was airlifted from Abaco relived the chilling moment his 5-year-old son was swept away by rising tides from the roof of a home in Murphytown. His son has yet to be found. Julian Gray reports.
38-year-old Adrian Farrington Sr.'s 5-year-old son was swept away by storm surge during Hurricane Dorian, and he's not sure where his son is. He acknowledged the chance of him being found alive is slim.
If he be rescued, I praise the Lord. But for the search, what I saw when I lose him, anything could happen. He had sharks swimming in the water. Anything could happen.
Farrington, a resident of Murphytown, Abaco, is currently being treated at PMH for a fractured leg and hand.
It wasn't no U.S., like I say, it wasn't no U.S. Guard, no Coast Guard, it wasn't no police. It's regular people. Regular people. They just was surveying to see who they could find alive to bring to the hospital for treatment. And they saw me crawling, trying to get to the hospital, to the clinic.
How long were you in those elements before you were rescued?
I spent the whole night in the hurricane, Mom. I ain't been in no shelter.
It was Sunday night?
Till Monday morning. Them winds ain't stopped till Monday morning.
His son, Adrian Jr., disappeared under the mounds of debris that floated on top of the water and hasn't been seen since. Farrington, his wife, and his son fled after waters rapidly rose in their home. As winds howled and rain poured, they swam from home to home looking for a safe haven. He recounted that his son was crying as they fled for their life, and he kept trying to keep him calm. It was at the last home that Farrington said his son was swept from his side.
I do everything in my power whilst he was with me. Everything in my power whilst he was with me to try to save my son. The only thing, what I say, I had to do was try to get up on the roof because I was tired of treading water. So when I put him on top of the roof, before I could climb on the roof to hold him, when I set him on the roof, when I go to climb on the roof, the gust of breeze, drag him across the roof. I still could remember him reaching for me, calling me, Daddy! And the breeze slide him across the roof and drop him on the surge on the next side of the building. The opposite side from where I put him up. By the time I move the breeze and get round there, the way he fell, I gone down twice, looking for him, feeling for him, because I couldn't see. The water was muddy.
With a broken leg and bleeding arm, Farrington struggled to tread water. He spent the entire night on Sunday exposed to the elements. He could hear screams coming from homes and saw walls collapsing on people. An emotional Farrington said he hasn't slept much since coming to New Providence, and it's only when the doctors give him medicine that the terrifying scenes don't roll through his mind. During those 12 hours he spent in the storm surge, unaware if he would be rescued, he said he witnessed another father give up hope after witnessing his family's demise.
There was this guy. I watched him, watch his family die inside the house. And when he couldn't save them because he had everything bad now, the surge was halfway to the door. And he couldn't open the door. And I watching him, and he's beating on the door, and he's cheering them inside crying, and he's outside crying. And after the surge came up and they couldn't get out, he just stopped swimming. He even didn't try to climb up on the roof. He didn't try to do nothing. He just stopped swimming. He just gave up.
Hurricane Dorian is the strongest storm to ever make landfall in the northern Bahamas. The distraught father said no one could have prepared for the terror brought on by the killer storm.
Ain't nobody thought they would have been in the position they was in. The shelters where they send people crush people. Homes where they say was safe wasn't safe.
Yeah, right.
The school where they say is a shelter, it ain't had no shelter because the roof get blow up.
Do you think anybody could have prepared for a storm of this magnitude?
No.
Farrington said he will return to his home once it's rebuilt, but will never brave another storm on the island. Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
As residents of Grand Bahama ventured out into their respective communities today, reality set in as many homes were gutted or gone. Our Kyle Joaquin is in Grand Bahama, where he spoke with several of those residents who are in complete shock.
There's nothing else I could do, and then if all of the windows of every house is around here just blown in, I broke down because I never expected this. I thought we had water so far that we could have just come in and pull out the carpets and take out some sheetrocks and start again. But I never knew the entire structure had just demolished.
Left in tears, Mildred Johnson came to her home in East Grand Bahama this morning only to find the frame, their precious belongings scattered about.
I cannot believe this. This is where the kitchen was with the cabinets, all of them are gone. That's where the bedrooms and stuff and all the nice furniture we had, everything is gone. Can't even find the dressers or nothing, everything. All the TVs and all the dishes and all the clothes and everything is just totally gone.
He lost everything.
Everything.
Everything. What you see I'm wearing is what was given to me.
With their kitchenware scattered throughout the house and their vehicles busted, Johnson said it's hard to keep it together. But the story lies with her husband, Pastor Barry Johnson, who braved Dorian in his roof. He was trapped in there from Sunday to Tuesday.
I was happy. But it's an air conditioning unit, blower unit, and that's what I was on top of.
Wow.
Yes.
At any point while you were in the ceilings, did you think that you probably would not make it?
That crossed my mind. And I said if the water come up too high, I would try and swim out somehow.
The damage here on the eastern end of Grand Bahama is severe. Take a look at this strip of homes here. Major damage to every last one of these homes. And as for this home here, the entire wall is gone. Concrete scattered all about. No sign of windows, and the entire western wall of the home ripped out. Many of the homes in the eastern portion of Grand Bahama were destroyed. Over in Emerald Bay, Reverend Lloyd Roll's two-story home barely made it.
You see where the water was. See, the water was upstairs, but
The watermark is up there.
no, it's upstairs.
It's upstairs.
But this is the complete height on the inside, and so you go up the stairs there. When you get to the top, the water's also upstairs.
Wow.
In here, and that's why I busted. You walk upstairs. Let me show you something. Now. When the water got upstairs, I busted that hole
The hole right there.
in the two-story attic. See the water there? See?
Yeah, this is the watermark here.
That's watermark, but it was also upstairs. I busted that
Just in case you had to go
just
in
in
there.
case I had to climb higher ground.
He says after more than 20 years of enduring storms in his home, Dorian is the last straw, adding he will not rebuild in eastern Grand Bahama.
It's getting worse every single time. And so we always had 12 inches of water inside, 16 inches of water. But this time, with 14 feet of water, it's time to go.
Here well into the afternoon in East End Grand Bahama, the floodwater is still preventing a lot of residents from getting to their families and friends who may be stuck in the back there. And just behind us, jeeps, vans, trucks, all stalled out by the floodwaters. And over here, what's left of UB North. Over on Grand Bahama Highway past Sir Jack Hayward Bridge, which takes you into East Grand Bahama, the road this afternoon was impassable just in front of the University of the Bahamas' northern campus. The stalled out vehicles along the road and in the yard tell the tale of those who tried to get out, but the vehicles just couldn't make it. Just beyond this blockage, home after home with people still waiting to be rescued. Not too far from there, we met this man, Perron Colebrook, who hadn't spoken to his family in Nassau since before the storm. With no communication and only his bicycle, he needed some help. You showed us the right number?
Yeah.
Okay, let's ring in.
Hey, Peaches.
Hey.
Yeah, man, I ran by the house and ain't nobody come yet to pick me up. I been around here 3 days and ain't need yet.
Hurricane Dorian, during his 2-day stop over Grand Bahama, left lots of damage across the island. For those in eastern Grand Bahama, there's not much but homes left in shambles. Back in the city, the damage was real as well. An airplane sits across the street from the airport. Boats in yards they weren't left in, and Grand Bahama International Airport busted. Not to mention the vehicles destroyed on the outside. Over at the crossing to get to Fishing Hole Road, police blocked it off as the debris was cleared, preventing many who live in the West End from getting home.
I went to my daughter up in Arden Forest, and the first time I ever seen a flood, never in my life I was seeing a thing out of all of my dress and walk out of water.
Cleanup has already started throughout the island with tractors moving tree limbs and other debris. At Folk Call Service Station, lines for gas stretched into the road. Sherlyn Williams watched as some got a bit rowdy.
This is kind of expected. That's the nature when people are, desperate. So things like this happen. But we got to stay calm and just wait your turn. It'll come.
Not far from there, Monica Missick and her family set their furniture and clothing outside to dry. She said her decision to go through the storm at home was quickly changed once the water rose. What's worse, she can't swim.
We had to walk, all of this was water. I was so frightened, I was crying.
Where did you all go?
We went by a family member, and they went by the church, and where they went was flooded.
So you had to walk through the storm
to get there, and I mean, that breeze was strong. I thought my time had come.
Then there's the heartbreaking tale of the tragedy at Grand Bahama Humane Society along Coral Road. We met volunteers and staff cleaning and letting the animals that survived out to play. But underneath this blue tarp lay the bodies of dozens of cats and dogs that didn't make it through the storm.
They're traumatized. Some of them still are. We have clients that had dogs here that came in, and to see the happiness that some made it, we've had some that's cried because their dogs didn't make it, unfortunately.
Now the good news is there's no more water left on the runway. The bad news is this is what is left of the airport. So there's no telling exactly when flights are going to start coming in and start leaving. Reporting from Grand Bahamas International Airport for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Helicopters flew in and out of Odyssey Aviation today, transporting residents from Abaco who were quickly whisked away in several ambulances in need of medical attention. They shared their startling stories of survival. Giorgio Bain reports.
It was a busy day here at Odyssey Aviation as family members waited with bated breath. As helicopters landed with persons from Abaco, family members said they were just hoping for the best. It was an emotional scene at Odyssey Aviation as this family was finally able to hug and kiss a 10-year-old relative who survived the deadly Category 5 storm. They hadn't heard from the young boy or other family members since Sunday. His aunt, Sandra Cook, told Our News how her nephew and his parents survived the dangerous and devastating storm. Cook says her sister-in-law was trapped under a collapsed roof for over 15 hours.
About an hour ago, the first helicopter with my family members came in. It was my brother and sister-in-law, Charles Cook and Angela Cook. My sister-in-law, their roof collapsed on her. She was trapped under the roof for 17 hours. My brother couldn't find her. He set the dog in there, and the dog, this is a shepherd, and he found her, but he couldn't lift the roof off of her. So she was stuck underneath that roof for 17 hours until there was a break in the storm and the neighbors came over to help. They took her across to their house. Today was the first day we've been able to get her out. She can't walk.
19-year-old Antonia Nixon said she hasn't heard from any of her family members since Sunday. Her mother was messaging her via WhatsApp about how horrible the storm was when communications were lost.
My house is gone and I'm in Nassau. I have no clue what my family is doing. I just want help. I just wonder where my mommy is. I have no clue where my mommy is. All I know is my aunt and my uncle are safe, and that's it.
Nixon said she is disappointed that only certain parts of Abaco seem to be getting all the attention and called on the Prime Minister to pay attention to all areas where she said persons are resorting to drastic measures.
It seems as if Marshall is getting all the attention when Abaco is at least 60 miles long. Treasure Key, Blackwood, Cooperstown, Cedar Harbor, Mount Hope, Foxtown, Crown Haven, Wood Key. All of those are down at North Abaco, and we seem to have no communication down there, no attention down there. As of now, you just seen a video circulating on Facebook from my aunt Gwenny from Blackwood. 22 people are inside the house in Blackwood stranded yesterday. 22 people was in Blackwood waving flags and rides on that roof. And the PM said they sent help. As of now, we see no help inside my community.
Also at the airport were several groups of volunteers standing ready to help. Brett Nason said he and a group of 18 men will do their part to clear roadways and the airport, which are flooded.
As soon as we land, we'll make an assessment of the runway to find out what debris is on the runway and what we can move. We have quite a bit of equipment, chainsaws, a lot of manpower, ropes, chains, hoists, that sort of thing. We'll then remove all of that debris from the runway, chop it up as need be. We'll also remove debris that is in the waterways, parts of the runway that are underwater now as the water recedes. We want to make sure that larger planes can bring aid.
Reporting for our news, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
Amid speculation that members of the U.S. Coast Guard were shot at while carrying out rescue missions in Abaco, the U.S. Embassy in Nassau stated emphatically in a Facebook post there have been no reports of violence against the U.S. Coast Guard or Customs and Border Protection operations. Moments before he boarded an Op-Bat helicopter headed to Abaco, National Security Minister Marvin also dismissed those rumors as nothing more than false reports.
Just a warning to people, just be careful of those social media reports. We cannot take our resources and send them to areas to investigate things, and the reporting is false. We have already found that out as a result of a number of reports. Remember, every report that is put out there, false or true, has to be investigated. And if we keep sending our first responders to areas where the reports are false, that would be resources being taken away from this fight.
Those false reports also made their way to international news agencies. Dames urged Bahamians to be careful and responsible.
These are serious times, and we have to ensure that there are calm heads throughout, and that we're taking our energies and putting it towards helping our brothers and sisters on Abaco and Grand Bahama and the adjacent keys.
During his visit to storm-ravaged Abaco, Dames was accompanied by Defence Force Commodore Tellis Bethel and Commissioner of Police Anthony Ferguson. He says their aim was to get a first-hand look at the utter devastation on the island. He thanked the DEA and Coast Guard for their assistance. The U.S. Coast Guard has successfully airlifted more than 60 people from the northern Bahamas to Nassau over 2 days. 3 of those people were from Freeport. Dorian's massive destruction has prompted a response from the President of the United States, Donald Trump, who pledged the U.S. will help with the humanitarian crisis currently unfolding in the northern Bahamas. The U.S. President also telling reporters that he may even visit the country. Jasmine Brown reports.
The President of the United States addressed Dorian and its impact on the Bahamas during a press conference during a live televised broadcast. President Trump noted that the ferocity of the storm was almost unheard of, as he also revealed he may be visiting the Bahamas to get a first-hand look at the damage.
Well, it's, again, I guess you would call it a British protectorate. But I will do a lot. We just have a call. We're waiting for the call. They're having a lot of trouble with the telephones over there, as you can imagine, from the Prime Minister. And we're helping a lot. And the Admiral just said we're sending a lot of resources over there to help people on a humanitarian basis. But I would do that if we think it's appropriate. I would stop there, yeah.
The U.S. Coast Guard, Britain's Royal Navy, United Nations, and the Pan American Health Organization have all joined the burgeoning effort to rush food and medicine to survivors and lift the most desperate people to safety by helicopter. Trump says it's clear the Bahamas will need a lot of help in the days ahead.
We've been asked to help by the government of the Bahamas, and we have numerous helicopters, and we're sending some people to give them a hand, and they need a big hand. What's going on over there is incredible. Few people have seen anything like that.
Meanwhile, head of the U.S. Coast Guard, Admiral KARL SCHULTZ, admitted it has not been an easy task. SCHULTZ said a day after the most powerful hurricane on record ever to hit the northern Bahamas finished mauling the islands of Abaco and Grand Bahama, their teams have yet to reach some stricken areas.
In the Bahamas, it's been challenging. We accessed the Bahamas, the Abacos, which is in the northeastern reach of the Bahamas. On Monday, first flight crews of the rotary wing helicopters got in there. We've rescued probably 50 folks to date. We're just starting to get a site picture on Grand Bahama Island in Freeport, which is the center of gravity population-wise in the northern Bahamas. So today we'll start to have a much fuller picture. That's the region where Dorian sat for almost 36, 48 hours and just pounded the region. Right. So we suspect the impacts to be severe, sir. We're rendering, life-saving support here, humanitarian assistance. We're working with the USAID and the Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance, who's the lead agency here, on providing, urgent SAR support.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Still to come on our news, families search for loved ones on Abaco and Grand Bahama. Stay tuned.